Welcome to the Nerdstalgic podcast with your host, the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm.
Howdy, 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 beans, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Nerdstalgic podcast. I'm your host, Luke the Human. Hope you're doing well, hope you're all good, as per usual. Before I get into today's topic, got to do a little bit of housekeeping, and today's housekeeping is the same as every week. Make sure that you follow me on Twitter at nerdstalgic_pod to be kept up to date on anything that I'm doing. Anytime I haven't played another AC game, or whenever I'm doing playing any game or watching any film or that sort of jazz, you'll be first to know on Twitter at nerdstalgic_pod. So make sure you follow me there. Also, if you listen to this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Let me know what your favourite AC game is, or maybe give me some feedback. Whatever you feel you want to write down in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe and to ring that bell to get a notification of whenever I upload every Sunday on my YouTube channel. So, that's all the housekeeping done. Today I'm going to be looking at Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which is the second game in the Ezio trilogy. For anybody who doesn't know, or anybody who is started off here, just give a bit of a reintroduction to my Ezio sort of trilogy journey. I skipped a lot of the AC games. I only really started playing them up until Syndicate, when they started getting a lot more RPG like, and then I really jumped on the bandwagon with Origins, and I've basically played them all since. I have tried AC1, the first Assassin's Creed. I don't like Altair, and I really just don't like the gameplay of the first Assassin's Creed. I've tried multiple times over the years. I just can't get into it. But I figured Ezio is such a beloved assassin, and he's widely talked about, not just in the fandom, but also in the games and the lore, that I figured, screw it, I'm going to go back. I'm going to buy the Ezio collection on the Xbox, and I'm going to go and replay all of the Ezio games from Assassin's Creed 2 to Brotherhood, all the way to Revelations. So that's where I am today. So if you haven't checked out my AC2 review, it's up now on the podcast. Anywhere and everywhere that you can find the podcast, Netflix will find the Nerdstalgic podcast. You can find it on there. Or it's now currently up on my YouTube channel. Just look for Assassin's Creed 2 and you'll find it right there. So make sure you go check that out first. But today I'm going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which is the second game in this series. Now, a bit of disclosure here. Usually, whenever I review a game, review a movie, book, whatever, I've usually read it or watched it already. Or sometimes I haven't read or watched or played it yet. For the majority of times, I like to do the introduction first, go off and do the topic, do the thing, and then the next part will be my first views. That's why I don't give anything away. But full disclosure, I have completed the game since doing the introduction. It's been a long time since I've done it this way. And the reason I wanted to be open and honest with you is the fact of I'm going to try my best here to not give how I feel about this game away. If you have been following me on Twitter, though, which is another reason to follow me on Twitter, you would have seen that I really did not enjoy my time with this game. And that's as far as I will go. If you read my tweets, you will know my feelings of this game already. If you haven't, I won't spoil it, and I'll move swiftly on. But I just wanted to be open and honest there. The fact if I have finished the game, and I'm going to try my best for the introduction, that is, to not give anything away. But you can go onto Twitter and scroll down if you would like, and try to find my thoughts and feelings on this game. But as for this AC Brotherhood, first, we're going to talk about the plot. For anybody who doesn't know anything about the Ezio trilogy or has only played this Assassin's Creed 2, never got around to Brotherhood, this is for you. Or this is basically for anybody who's not really big into Assassin's Creed, just wanting to have a listen. And if you are, thanks for coming back. But the plot. Following the events of the previous game, Desmond Miles, Lucy Stillman, Rebecca Crane, and Sean Hastings escape from the Templars who attack their hideout and establish a new base in the ruins of the Villa Auditore. After restoring the electricity in the tunnels under the villa, Desmond uses the Artemis 2.0 to continue reliving the genetic memories of his ancestor, Ezio Auditore. His mission is to find the Apple of Eden, which could prevent an impending disaster coming that same year, believed to be perpetrated by the Templars. Ezio's story continues in December 1499 as he exits the vault and escapes Rome with his uncle Mario. Returning to his villa, Ezio explains to his fellow assassins what he saw inside the vault and is comforted by the prospect that his personal vendetta is over. However, Nikolai Machiavelli challenges Ezio's decision to leave Rodrigo Borgia alive. The following day, the villa is besieged by the papal army commanded by one of the Borgia family. Rodrigo's son kills Mario and claims the apple for the Templars. An injured Ezio escapes and travels to Rome, the center of Templar power in Italy, seeking vengeance against the Borgias. There he discovers that the Assassin's Order has lost most of its manpower and strength. Determined to rebuild the guild, Ezio convinces Machiavelli that he can lead it, recruiting people for the Brotherhood and restoring it to its former glory and strength. So that is a bit of the plot of this game. As for the game's development, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was developed by Ubisoft Montreal. Montreal also worked on both of the other Assassin's Creed games in the series and was thus chosen to lead production for the third installment. A new Assassin's Creed episode featuring multiplayer was announced during Ubisoft's 2009 fiscal third quarter results. While not revealing its name, in early May 2010, a GameSpot employee published on the internet some images of a pre-order box featuring Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Title: While Ubisoft was teasing the game on Facebook and Twitter. Ubisoft then confirmed the authenticity of these pictures. Brotherhood has not been numbered, unlike Assassin's Creed 2, because players and even developers themselves would have expected a new setting and a new ancestor, while this is only the continuation of Ezio's story. Although the game was in development primarily by Ubisoft Montreal in Canada, production was aided in part by 4 other Ubisoft developers, Annecy, Singapore, Budapest, and Quebec. The multiplayer mode was mainly developed by Ubisoft Annecy, the studio responsible for creating multiplayer modes in Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Ubisoft also announced plans for downloadable content after the game's launch. Two sets of free DLC have already been released under the names Animus Project Update 1.0 and Animus Project Update 2.0. The first includes the new map Mount Saint Michel and one new mode, Advanced Alliance. The Animus Project Update 2.0 was released in January 2011, was also free and included another map, mode, and the introduction of a player grading system. From the perspective of performance, Ubisoft had commented that they hope the gaps between the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions will be even smaller with Brotherhood. While still in development, creative director Patrice Destilitz left before the game's presentation at E3 2010. Ubisoft and production manager Jean-Francois Bolivin, I think I'm pronouncing that name right, stated that he only took a creative break after completing his task on Brotherhood. A teaser trailer of the multiplayer mode was released on the official site for the E3 event. A cinematic debut trailer was diffused during Ubisoft's E3 2010 press conference, along a walkthrough of the game's beginnings. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood reached gold status on October the 28th, 2010. The Microsoft Windows version has NVIDIA 3D Vision and multi-screen support through AMD Eyefinity. It also uses copy protection as well as Ubisoft's online service but doesn't require an always online internet connection. Obviously, whoever wrote this was like running out of things to say, so there's adding things about security for some unknown reason. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Doing my research. On November the 30th, 2010, a novelization of the game was published. The novel is a sequel to the previous novel. So that is a bit of the development, a bit of a hodgepodge, really. Whoever wrote it, which it wasn't me, definitely didn't really look into it much. But anyway, that's not important. The main thing is that is the development, that is the introduction for AC Brotherhood. Off to sort of review the game now. Yeah, this is the moment where I give my thoughts and feelings. So sit tight because I'm about to go into this game quite a bit. So let's get into it, shall we? So here we are with my Assassin's Creed Brotherhood review. To start off, we'll begin with the story. As I briefly touched on in the introduction, you play as Ezio Auditore in the year 1499. It carries on from the events of Assassin's Creed 2. You've killed Rodrigo Borgia, and you have secured the Apple of Eden. All is well, another day saved. So Ezio and Mario go back to their family villa there, and again, everything's fine, no problems. Again, story's over. Ezio has done his vendetta. He's got revenge for the death of his family. He's ready to basically just live his life now. Sadly, Cesare Borgia, which is Rodrigo Borgia's son, has other plans, and he decides he's going to get revenge on not just Ezio but all of the assassins, and he just takes them all down. And that is where sort of Ezio has to then start from square one, which is you as the player. It's quite interesting beginning, to be honest. You think all this kind of say like, okay, why am I back with Ezio if his story is done? And straight away it gets going, and from there it is very much the fact of you've got to start from square one. You're in Rome. Your villa's gone. Mario, he's dead. You don't really have any of your equipment anymore, so you've got to start again. And you're now with Machiavelli, trying to restart the Brotherhood, restart the Creed. So you go off and you do missions, and you are trying to recruit people to your cause and that sort of thing. Again, in concept and the idea behind it, and even to be honest, before I even played this game, that all sounded very, very fascinating and interesting to me, because I get to finally be a master assassin. I've been the assassin in all the other games, and I've been sort of not really the lead of a Brotherhood, but I've been in a lot of Brotherhoods, playing through Unity, playing for Origins, Valhalla, Syndicate, Black Flag, all that jazz. Like, being a member of the Creed is all good, but actually running it, that's could be quite interesting as well. Being Ezio, and I liked Ezio from the Assassin's Creed 2, so I thought, well, there's nothing here that might really, really put me off. And again, the introduction was very interesting. And again, I didn't mind starting from the beginning. I didn't mind having to get all the equipment back, because I thought, it's all part of the story. It all makes sense. It's all good. And compared to Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where that one was very much of like the Assassin's Creed 2 was very much like you're playing as Ezio, and he changes throughout the story, and he goes from being a child, and he goes from being sort of young to being more mature, less reckless. As I mentioned in my Assassin's Creed 2 review, when Ezio first gets the Hidden Blade for the first time, instead of using it with respect and understanding, as it pertains to actually have a weapon like that, and the Assassin's Creed use it, whenever they kill somebody, it's always sort of a requiesce, rest in peace, and hopefully the next life will be better than this one, and you made better decisions. Whereas when Ezio first uses the Hidden Blade in AC2, he's brutal with it. He's constantly stabbing the person. He's covered in blood. And as the story goes on, he matures, and he realizes not just how to be a better person, but how to be a better assassin, the ways of the Creed, the ways of the Brotherhood. And again, Assassin's Creed 2, fantastic story, fantastic plot. I can understand why people love Ezio. Compared to Brotherhood, and I will get onto more of this when I get to the gameplay, and this is the part where I had the most criticism on Twitter about. And again, I'll get onto more details in that in a minute, and as well as in the gameplay. But AC Brotherhood is a completely different ball game. As I mentioned in the story, you are meant to be, restarting the Brotherhood. So I assumed from the get-go, straight as soon as you land in Rome. You're getting your footings, and that's it straight away. Bish bash bosh, you're working your way up, and you're trying to get the Brotherhood back up running and recruiting people. Not necessarily. You actually begin the game after sort of the introduction as a Monopoly, really, as a Mr. Moneybags, and that you have to then go about buying real estate in Rome, and it's a completely different experience and game. It's not what I was expecting at all. And it was that part of the game that really sort of soured it for me. There were things that I enjoyed, which again I'll get onto, but sort of moving on to the gameplay side of it, that it didn't feel like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It didn't feel like a Brotherhood. It didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game. It felt like AC Monopoly, like Assassin's Creed Monopoly. I spent majority of the game for most part, and it took a while to actually get to the whole master recruiting sections. I spent most part of the game buying real estate. Now, I have been told that you don't need to do that, that you can blitz through sort of the campaign and not worry about any of that stuff, which I understand that. But the way I like to review a game is that if I'm going to play a game, I want to at least try to do everything. If there is a feature in the game and that I want to give that feature a go, because obviously that feature is there for a reason. There's obviously a reason why the developer put it in there, so I want to experience it, right? Now, again, you can, all honesty, fair first, you can blitz through the campaign and not worry about buying any of the shops, buying any, restoring any of the buildings or anything like that. You don't need to do it unless you're a completionist or you want to get the achievements. Otherwise, you don't have to do any of that stuff. But in a way, you kind of do, because if you buy enough shops, say like you got loads of blacksmiths, right? Blacksmiths where you buy new armor, you can repair your armor if it gets damaged, and you can buy new weapons and daggers and ammunition for your pistol and that sort of thing, right? The more that you unlock, like buy that real estate, the cheaper, like you get discounts basically. And in this game, you want those discounts, you want the money because everything's mega expensive, really, really expensive from the get-go. And again, you're starting from the bottom, and you don't have a lot of health because you don't have very good armor. You don't have a very good weapon, so you're going to want to again go back and buy these real estate, save your money up that goes to your bank, and then deposit and going off and buying tailors, going off and buying artist places so you can unlock more maps to find out where you got these jewelry boxes hidden. So you go in, you go around, you got to go loot them, and then you've got to go around and buy more blacksmiths and stables and that sort of thing. So you get more revenue in, so you get more discounts and shops. So again, you don't have to do it, but I spent majority of my time of playing a mission or two, getting enough money, going out, buying real estate, waiting for my bank to fill up. Then when my bank filled out, withdraw that, buy more real estate, do a mission or two, then go back, and it was just rinse and repeat. And don't get me wrong, and the setting of Rome, I'll get onto that properly in a minute, is beautiful, but having to traverse constantly cross building tops, going back and forth, doing missions, getting money, buying another weapon that should last. I only bought a few weapons, to be honest, because I bought the best knife that I could get. And I used that for most of the game anyway. And then I would just go off do missions and I do real estate, and it just felt like I didn't want to play Monopoly. If I wanted to play Monopoly, I would go downstairs into the cupboard and pull Monopoly out, and I would happily play Monopoly. I don't want to play Assassin's Creed and be be a mogul, be sort of a real estate mogul. I don't want to do that. I want to assassinate people. I want to kill. I want to kill the Borgia. I want to get revenge for Mario. I want to get take down the Borgia family. I want to find the Apple of Eden. I want to realize what this cataclysm is. I want to unlock the sort of story threads and interesting beats that were hinted at in AC2, and you do get it eventually, but I spent most of my time having to buy real estate, and that part of it really bored me, to be honest. It kind of felt like, granted, I know I keep going back to it because I have to restate it because I know that people were writing in the comments being like, you didn't have to do that. And I was told by a couple other podcasters who are AC fans who have played this game, who said, oh, you don't have to do it. You can blitz through it. Um, I do understand that. And I understand that that's a valid point. But my argument is the fact of they didn't design the game for you to blitz through it. They designed the game for you to buy the real estate. It's there as a feature, and because there are incentives for doing it. If there was just buy real estate and you didn't get anything for it, I'm not talking about achievements, but you didn't get any discounts or you didn't get new items in the shop and that sort of thing. If that wasn't part of it, I wouldn't have spent my time going around and buying all of these shops in all the different places just for the but because I got discounts, because I got access to new weapons that I did need and armor that I did need, and again, because everything is so expensive, you need those discounts. That I did. I felt obliged where I had to go off and buy all these things that I didn't want to, but I felt like I needed to. I felt like I was playing Monopoly, like I was Mr. Moneybags. Like, oh, I want to do a mission, but I've got to buy all this real estate first. And then I'd go do a mission, and when the mission finished, my bank would fill up and it'd say, you can withdraw money now. And again, it'd be rinse and repeat. Do a mission, draw from bank, buy a few real estate, do another mission, and rinse and repeat. And eventually, by the time I got to near the end, I think sequence 8 to sequence 9, once I got to near the end of the game, I'd bought all of the real estate. I'd renovated all of the historical monuments. I had tons and tons of money. I had so much money left over that I had nothing else to buy. I bought all the art, which again I didn't need to, but I just love buying the art in the Assassin's Creed 2. I just love looking at the art pieces in Ezio's villa. Even though there's not many art to buy, I bought all the art and I bought all the pouch upgrades for the poison, for the throwing, for the health, for the throwing knives and that sort of thing. Even after all that, I had so much coin left over. It was a fact of what left is there to buy now. I've bought everything. I've just got money sitting, and my bank is still accumulating tons and tons of cash. What's the point of withdrawing because I've got nothing else to buy? So it doesn't feel like a Brotherhood. And then, when you do eventually get to the Brotherhood stuff, that's interesting. That's fascinating. I can actually get an assassin, a bloke, or a woman. I can save them from the guards. I can recruit them to the Creed. I can send them on missions. I can send them to Venice. I can send them to Moscow, to Paris, to London. I can send them anywhere that I want in the, well, I was going to say in the world, but continental Europe technically, because you can't go to America. But I can send it anywhere in continental Europe. And to do missions, and then they get XP and they level up, and eventually I can upgrade them with weapons, I can upgrade them with armor, I can eventually get to a point where they become a master assassin and they wear the proper assassin's robes, and whenever I call them in for help, they come in, and I can do hail of arrows if I want to, if I have enough, or they can come in or they can assassinate the enemy for me. And that whole concept itself, that whole functionality of actually being the head and lead of a guild and the head of an assassins is so much fun. And I wish majority of the game was that, where it was the fact of, if you, like for example, if they wanted to keep the whole Monopoly side into it, if they had gone, if you buy certain bits of real estate in a certain area, it will unlock benefits to you and your assassins. So things would be cheaper, or not just for you, but to upgrade your assassins with. You could buy, instead of upgrading them, you could buy the pieces for them. You can maybe even customize your assassins as well. Maybe how you want them to look and dress. You could do that. Maybe they could give you incentives that way. So you are more incentivized of like, you know what? I don't want to go around and buy this real estate, but if I do, I can customize my assassins better, or I unlock personal missions I can do with certain assassins. And I can go on a mission with another assassin and we can sort of do it together, that sort of thing. Like if there was a lot more of the Assassin's Creed sort of Brotherhood building up the Brotherhood, if there was more of that, fantastic. And less of the Monopoly, or even if they just incorporate the Monopoly side of it in with the Brotherhood, then I would be more lax on it. But it just feels like I was just playing Monopoly for majority of this game. And I generally found myself playing this for a few hours and then coming off it the next day being like, I don't really want to play Brotherhood. I want to go play some Starfield, and I would play Starfield for hours, and after that would refresh me and get me sort of happy for sort of playing games again. The next day I would grind and play a bit more sort of Brotherhood, uh, and it was a shame. It really, really was. But that's a bit of my TED talk, a bit of my rant. As for the gameplay, as for the actual combat itself, that was sort of a much improvement. This combat in Brotherhood is a lot more full frontal, more in your face, close quarters combat than in AC2. Because in this one, the whole point of the combat in this game is to get the hits in first. And it makes sense not just for a gameplay perspective, but for Ezio. By this stage in Ezio's life, he is a master assassin. He is a fantastic, incredible combatant. He knows how to handle a sword. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't have to be as cautious as he was in AC2. In AC2, it was more defensive, counter, dodging, that sort of thing. Because again, he was new to it. He didn't know how to fight. He was learning to fight over the years. And he was honing his skills. So he wasn't, again, a master assassin. And by the end of the game, he was, but for the majority of the time, he wasn't. So it was a lot more defensive. Whereas in this game, he is a master assassin. He knows what he's doing. He's an incredible swordsman. So he is a lot more full frontal. Instead of sitting back, being like, no, I'm getting into it. You're that kind of thing of like, I'm not locked in here with you. You're in here locked in with me. And he gets in. And I love the inclusion of the instant executions. So, for example, if you kill an enemy, you can do like a Batman sort of style where you kill an enemy and that you can then tag another enemy, and Ezio would turn around and lunge and instantly kill them. And you could tally that. If you manage to keep up with it and keep an eye on enemies that were about to attack you and counter it, you could keep that tally going and rally it, being like instant kill one guy, instant kill another, instant kill, instant kill, instant kill. You could take out a whole. I think my biggest tally was like 10 to 11. I only know that because I got an achievement for having a rally of 10 close quarters combat executions in a row. But it's a lot of fun to do, and again, it makes sense for the story and for Ezio's character in general. So I quite like that. Again, the game looks a lot more beautiful, a lot more gorgeous, which is kind of interesting. And not just because I'm playing on the Ezio collection, so obviously the game's going to look a lot better on the Xbox Series X. But you can tell that the engine itself that they were using from Assassin's Creed 2 to Brotherhood, even though it was only a year apart, had a lot more detail. The face animations and the facial structures look a lot better. The world looks better. Everything looks a lot more detailed. The setting is beautiful. Obviously, it's set in Rome in 1499 all the way up to 15. Oh god, I want to say 1519. I think. Hold on a second. Let me have a look at my notes. Blah 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 blah. Where did I put it here? Plot. So I think it's 1507. I think so. It's from 1499 to 1507. So again, it's very very gorgeous, very very beautiful setting. You don't travel around Italy as much as you did in sort of the first game. In the first game, Assassin's Creed 2, you got to explore all of Italy. You got to go all the way to Venice, to Florence, and to Rome a little bit at the end. But this one, you are stuck in Rome altogether. And I think that was a good idea, not just for the story, but also containing it more, considering that they only gave themselves a year to get this game out compared to AC2. They could really focus, instead of doing loads of different locations and loads of different cities, they could focus very much on making a bigger, grander version of Rome. One thing that made me laugh, though, because you get to explore Rome in full. We all know what a Ubisoft game is like nowadays. We all know that if you was to bring up the hood on any Ubisoft game, you would be bombarded, bamboozled with tons of icons of missions, of objectives, of side missions, of things to do, things to see, question marks, blah blah blah, right? And I'm not saying it began here, but when I opened up the map for the first time and I got all these notifications hit me in the face, I was sitting there like, bloody hell, this is basically the beginnings, it felt like the beginnings of where Ubisoft started to trend, basically, where they started to do what they are famous for, which is like complicated, real, compact, and dense filled maps full of things where I can't even see. Like you even had like icons that would overlap other icons, which again is a standard for most Ubisoft games now. But it was a fact of I'm trying to get me around Rome and I'm trying to click on one mission on a mission tab, but right next to it, just a little bit off underneath, is like a box, is like a jewelry box, and I would click on that instead, and be looking around for the mission, but like, where's the mission? Where am I? Then I'd have to go back to the hub and I'd have to zoom in and be like, no, no, it's like a street or two over. So that is probably the only real downside. But Rome itself is gorgeous, it's a beautiful setting. You know, the visuals are a lot better. They really sort of up the ante, shall we say, in terms of the graphic fidelity and the gameplay. It was just a shame. Again, I do miss sort of going to the different places. And Ezio, every time we'd go to a different place, he would you'd have the different guards, you'd have the different people ruling it, so you'd have to sort of relearn the city layout, which again to me made a lot more fun. Whereas like I've just learned the city layout of one city, now I've got to go to a new city, and I've got to sort of start again. And especially where you'd go from Venice to Florence, those two places would be completely different because Venice is a lot more waterways, a lot more bridges, a lot of bigger gaps between buildings, so you could always jump from building to building. So you had to adapt and change as you would in Assassin. Whereas in this game, it is very much the fact if you've got one big hub world, you got Rome, which again, Rome's gorgeous, but it's still very much the fact of it's just so cluttered and full of things. It's the fact of I'm lost. There's so much. It's like it's just overload for my brain, and that's why I had to sort of take a step back and just be like, okay, I'm gonna have to break this place into sections and be like, if I'm gonna get all the real estate and if I'm gonna find all the loot boxes in certain areas, I'm gonna pick a section and I'm just gonna work my way down in little blocks and just make it out that way, because otherwise there was so much going on, and every time you do a mission and you get to a new sequence, new missions would be available, and there'd be new side missions available, and there'd be like Christina missions available because Ezio had been unlocking memories because I'd be getting 100% on the mission, so new things would become available. Then I've got the Leonardo da Vinci, the disappearance missions, which are actually quite fantastic, actually. You have those, and then you had Leonardo da Vinci's weapons of war, and you've got to do those separate ones, and they're all spread out sporadically here and there. And I've got Artemis traitors, not Artemis, Animus traitors, so I've got to do those missions as well. And there is again, I'm not complaining of having loads to do, of course not, that'd be silly. I'm just saying Ubisoft really started their trend of just compacting everything so close together in one big hub world that it was the fact of you know, you needed to spread them out. You needed to, if you're going to keep us in Rome, spread it out. You know, give us what we need when we need it. Don't just fill the screen, and with every sequence, every mission, the screen just gets more and more cluttered with stuff to do. So that was, again, it's an old game, so there's not everything go and change it and update or anything. But it was very much one of those things of like, I am like visually, mentally exhausted. I'm just done tons of Monopoly in one area. I don't want to be confused by looking at the map once again to find out where I've got to go. But you know, my overall sort of conclusion with this game is that it feels like a stepping stone. It feels like a stepping stone to Revelations, and I've heard nothing but fantastic things about Revelations. And a lot of people tell me about Brotherhood in the fandom that Brotherhood is very split down the middle. It's very 50-50. It's like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. Some fans loved it, some fans didn't. Whereas nearly everybody likes Assassin's Creed 2, and a lot of people really love Revelations. Brotherhood is very much like Marmite. It's middle of the road, and I'm sadly in the ballpark of not being a fan of Brotherhood. Again, I know I didn't have to do all the Monopoly stuff, but it was there, and as a reviewer, it is my duty to properly do all the features and to explore the game in all the different sort of ways that I can, so I can give you beans, you guys, you listeners, the best overall experience of the game and if it's worth picking up or not. But even so, saying that, I'd still rather play Assassin's Creed 2. I'd rather go back and replay that than this one. To me, it was just a stepping stone. It was a means to an end. It was a means to get over this extra story so that we could get Old Man Ezio. We could kind of finally bring in the whole story and really um, end it on a proper conclusion. It's kind of like, I'd imagine Ubisoft probably wanted more time on Revelations to really finish that off to make sure it's a good ending for Ezio. So you just throw in Brotherhood in the middle to just kind of like, here's a continuation of his story. The good story will be next, but you got to go through this first. There, at the ending there is a sort of a big twist sort of ending, which again I won't go into spoilers. But I wasn't shocked by this ending. I would just put it at that. I wasn't sort of like. Obviously, the game wanted you to be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe X, Y, and Z just happened." I wasn't. And it simply was down to the fact of by the time I got to the end of the game, I was just playing to finish it. I was playing to finish it to get the achievements for completing the game, because by the end of it, I was just like, get it over with, get it done, get this review written, and then move on to Starfield. Because again, like I said, the whole Monopoly side of it, and not all the sort of the Brotherhood side of it not as being in depth as I was hoping or as I'd liked. Like I said, there were certain things I did like the combat and that sort of thing, and the upgraded graphics and how beautiful it looks, and even though how cluttered the map was, Rome in the 1600s, 16th century was gorgeous. Still, that Monopoly side of it really took me out of it, and really, really did. Which again is a shame. So when the ending big conclusion came, I wasn't like, oh my god, I can't believe X, Y, and Z happened. It was just the fact of, oh, okay, well, let's see how that affects Revelations, which I'm sure it will. Obviously, it's a big thing for a certain character. Which again, I'm being vague on purpose, but it's a big event for a certain character in AC. So I'm sure it will affect this character a lot, and in fact, possibly the story of Revelations. But even so, I'm sure Revelations will do a far better way and of bringing me in and interested me once again. But I hate to say it, whereas when I completed Assassin's Creed 2, I was really excited to jump into Brotherhood. I did leave it a while. I did because there were other reviews I had to do, and I wanted to. And then we're getting close to Halloween, and I wanted to do all the Halloween stuff first. That I did leave Brotherhood quite a while, but I did start playing Brotherhood in what it's currently now September the 19th currently, and I completed it a day or two ago. So I did start playing it in September, and with this one, I feel like the way the taste that Brotherhood has left in my mouth, even though I'm looking forward to playing Revelations to seeing the end of Ezio's story, the end of the Ezio trilogy, um, I'm kind of put off Assassin's Creed for a bit, and that I think I'm probably going to go off and play Starfield, and then I'll probably play Liza P. Then I might play another game, and then maybe I'll come back to Assassin's Creed Revelations around Christmas time. Then again, I'm being very optimistic there, Christmas time, because I am going to be playing Starfield. Um, so let's say Christmas, January, season 3 potentially. Then I might end Revelations, but who knows? If plans change, or if I decide, you know what, I want to go back to Assassin's Creed Revelations. If I feel like I've had enough time away, then you might see it earlier. But I'm not excited of jumping back into anything Assassin's Creed anytime soon. That's how much of a bad taste this game has left in my mouth, which is a shame. Um, but yeah, all trilogies have the black sheep, and sadly, Brotherhood is the black sheep so far. I'm got my fingers crossed that I'm hoping that Revelations is going to be the one that really sort of brings it all home. So I've got a lot of hope there. But that is my thoughts and feelings on Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Hope you all liked and enjoyed it. If you agree with me or you disagree with me, let me know in the comments down below on Twitter, or let me know on YouTube, or you can let me know how you feel again on Twitter at Nerdstalgic_pod. I'll be happy to sort of because I want to know if other people felt the way I did. If there are people out there who disagree and really like this game, or if there are people who agree with me because you know what, it's not as good. I want to know because I feel like I might, even though I know there's a 50-50 split in the fandom with this game, I feel like I just feel like one of the few. Like, it's a weird feeling. I've never really felt this feeling before in many other games where, like, even though I know it's split down the middle of some people like it, some people don't, I still feel like the small few group of people who didn't like this game. So I want to know. I want to know your thoughts and feelings. But also, if you want to hear more Assassin's Creed stuff from me, go back and check my review of Assassin's Creed 2 out. It is on YouTube and it'll be on my podcast channel on Spotify or anywhere else you can find podcasts. If you want to hear more from me and from the Nerdstalgic podcast, don't forget to don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and you can find me anywhere and everywhere that there are podcasting platforms apart from Apple Podcast. Also, if you listen to this on Spotify, don't forget to give me a star rating for 1 to 5 stars. I greatly appreciate it. Currently, I'm at 22 reviews. I'm at a 4.8, so that's pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. Whatever you feel like is fair, 1 to 5 stars will help me out greatly. And so that has been my review of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I've been your host, Luke the Human. You've been listening to the Nerdstalgic podcast, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye bye.